model KM65 key mill is a 55-pound portable milling machine designed to cut keyways on shafts that are left in place. By eliminating most of the dismantling and downtime, the machine often more than pays for itself the first time you use it. The rugged model KM65 key mill comes complete and ready to work with a set of end mills, bar clamp for shafts up to 4 1/2 inches in diameter, hand crank, set of hex wrenches, and an instruction manual. To prepare the machine to cut a keyway, you need to choose the proper weld and shank end mill, insert it into the spindle and lock it in place with the set screw. Next, you can attach the bar clamp and the machine is ready to be attached to the shaft. If clearance is a problem, the model KM65 can be attached using only 1 1/2 inches of the shaft for mounting. The V-base of the machine ensures perfect alignment of the keyway with the axis of the shaft. A 6-inch long keyway can be cut out the end of the shaft with the machine mounted in this position. When the machine is firmly clamped to the shaft, the cutter can be positioned by moving the top slide with the hand crank. The hand crank can now be transferred to the vertical adjusting screw. The spindle is cranked down until a full circle flat is cut on the shaft and the dial indicator is set to 0. Each revolution of the hand crank will plunge the end mill 100 thousandths into the shaft with SAE inch machines or 2.5 millimeters with metric machines. When the desired depth is reached, the quill clamp is tightened securely and the hand crank is transferred to the longitudinal travel and the keyway is cut. Proper chip load can be maintained by turning the hand crank fast enough to make the motor work. The 1 horsepower universal motor is designed for this kind of application. The unique divided base of the model KM65 allows the cutter to pass back into itself. This allows the cutter to pass out the end of the shaft to finish the keyway. After the keyway is finished, the machine can be removed simply by raising the end mill up for clearance and unclamping the machine. With experience, you can have a new keyway cut in the shaft 10 minutes after you take the machine out of the box. To cut keyways on tapered shafts, all you need to do is insert shims under the rear of the machine base until the cutter is aligned with the taper of the shaft. A keyway can now be cut perfectly parallel with the shaft taper. If you need to cut a series of blind end keyways in the shaft or one long slot, the process is the same. First, the model KM65 is mounted on the shaft where the first keyway is to be cut and leveled with a precision level. After cutting the first keyway or section of long slot, the machine is moved to the next position and the leveling and clamping sequence is repeated. This daisy chaining technique has been used to cut a series of line shaft keyways and 6-foot veneer planer blade slots, as well as many other applications. For larger shafts, up to 10 1/2 inches in diameter, an optional chain clamp can be used to attach the machine to the shaft. While holding the machine in position on the shaft, the operator can clamp the machine rigidly in place. To start cutting the keyway with this setup, a full circle flat is cut and the dial set to 0. The cutter is retracted to clear the shaft, moved out in front of the shaft, and crank down to the desired depth by reading the dial on the vertical drive shaft. As the keyway is cut, the chips fall out the open end of the keyway, so a better finish is produced since chip crowding is reduced. The electronic speed control allows the operator to slow the spindle to match cutting conditions. If there is room on the shaft, you will get a better finish on your keyway with the key mill mounted facing the end of the shaft as shown here. If you need to cut across the axis of the shaft or pipe, the optional cross-milling adapter and chain clamp will allow you to do it with the model KM65. The cross-milling adapter simply bolts onto the side of the machine base in place of the clamp mounting blocks. With the machine in place, it is a simple matter to cut identification flats on pipe or to do other cross-axis milling. Wider flats can be cut by leveling the machine prior to the first pass and then moving the machine sideways and re-leveling for subsequent passes. The standard model KM65 will mount on shafts as small as 1 1/2 inches in diameter. With an optional shim kit, you can cut keyways and shafts as small as 3/4 of an inch in diameter. The shims are simply bolted to the V-base of the machine, closing up the throat of the base so smaller shafts can be clamped in place. With the machine clamped in a vise, keyways can be cut in small shafts. In order to use small end mills with 3/8 inch shanks, a collet is provided with the key mill. You can also make small parts, such as gear pullers, or nest two angles together and cut slots in them. One common use for the model KM65 is cutting motor mounting slots. This is accomplished by drilling holes in 2 pieces of angle iron to match the clamp block holes on the side of the machine base. The angles are bolted to the sides of the base, and the machine is clamped to the surface with large C-clamps. It may be necessary to grind a set screw flat near the top of the end mill so it will reach far enough below the base to penetrate the material you are slotting. The model KM65 is a versatile machine that will give you years of service. Thousands of these machines are in use all over the world. It is a rugged, dependable machine that can save you a lot of downtime and probably pay for itself the first time you use it. If you need more information, call us today.